see if we can get it. So, over Keith a little bit. See if we can. Hi, folks. Good night. Just give us 1 second. We're trying to get everything together. But welcome to the Dead Late Night Show. I am Lana Epstein, your host. And tonight we happen to be, we're still in the East and we're actually at Starbucks. Yeah, so we're changing locations. And I have a special guest with me. You've seen him before. You've heard from him before. And his name is Mr. Kieth Seymour. He's an attorney. He has an extensive background in finance. And we're going to talk about some money tonight because that's the biggest talk in this town. And we want to clarify some stuff and we want to bring some things to the forefront. But just give us 1 second and we will get you all sorted out. So bear with us. You know, last night we had some technical difficulties, but we want to make sure that we are still streaming properly, and I have to do that through this. I know the lighting is kind of darkish. We are dark people, colored native as a friend would put it. But thank you all for tuning in. Yeah, we're there. Good. So we are welcome. It's Tuesday, of course. This is the last day of the month. Can you believe it? I mean, it's 2017 and the month just went soon. It just went away from us. So I hope you all are being safe. And I want to start tonight with this quote. There is no doubt that the situation in the country today indicates that there is much more work to do in the process of reforming the political economy and improving the quality of life of our people and our communities. And that's by Abraham Bagandi. Sorry, I practiced this all night. His name is Bangandita, and I when I did anywhere, we hope that I travel throughout the country, and as I travel the world, we will always talk about the situation in the heart and improve it. Tonight's show has been brought to you by Ebenezer College Virtual Smart School. And our mission is to educate, providing you with the information you need, motivate you to change, and entertain you by uplifting your spirits. We want to speak the unspoken words of thousands. And so you can always, log in, let us know what you're thinking, put your notes down there. We can answer them. Like I said, Kieth Seymour, he's an attorney, he's a financial guru. I have the numbers man in the house, and he can answer those questions. And so we want to hear from you, and because you are our nation's judge and jury. Now, you know I always do the front porch, and that's something that I enjoy doing. That's the only thing. And I'm on my thing. I don't know why it's doing. Oh, yeah, we're back. Okay. Yeah, like I said, we just gotta bear with us a little bit. So if we go in and out, that's fine. But like I said, I didn't really want to go through on the front porch tonight because basically all I've been seeing and hearing is either politics or crime, either infighting about who's going where they're going and how they're doing it and how much money is being spent. Who cares? There are other things that are going on. And secondly, of course, crime. And as you know, I don't like to promote that. That's not something that I love to promote. And so I'm not going to give those criminals accolades and talk about the things that they're doing and affecting and the way that they're affecting us. But I will discuss the reality of where we're at and how we can improve the reality of where we're at. And one of the biggest things, and you tell me, say goodnight, Keith. Let me give you a say goodnight.
Good night, Dallas.
Right. So one of the big, and the world.
I'm the world.
I'm the world.
I'm the world, indeed.
So one of the things that in my opinion, one of the biggest contribution to crime is economy. Whether it is on a level where it's government level, whether it's private sector level, meaning residents, business owners, how it affects families and whatnot. And time again, when you read into the business section, especially in the papers, there are lots of articles there that make me scratch my head and say, wait a minute, is anyone really paying attention as to what is going on? And I have I have something that I strongly believe in, and you've heard me say it at the beginning, well, usually at all my shows. And this is a quote: more information is always better than less. When people know the reason things are happening, even if it's bad news, they can adjust their expectations and react accordingly. Keeping people in the dark only serves to stir negative emotions. And the reason why I always say that is because the more we as a people are kept in the dark, the more things we start to assume. And we start to assume more negative things rather than positive things. So there was an article that I brought to light a few weeks ago, and Keith, I think you and I had spoken about it a little bit. And it was in regards to the Bahamas Mortgage Corporation having a 2% delinquency rate. Now, I know that's negative, and you would think that they would, put in the article. I mean, they did say why. But in the article, they go on to say whoever the source was, but they're doing okay. So I said to myself, how is it that there is a 42% delinquency rate when it comes to persons that are holding mortgage at the Bahamas Mortgage Corporation, which is Bahamian governed? How is it possible that you're doing okay financially?
Well, you have to look at the complete portfolio of the mortgage corporation, and in evaluating that, you have to look at mortgages from the beginning and look at the life cycle of the mortgage. When people get into a commitment between themselves and a mortgage facility, be it mortgage corporation, Finco, Royal, whoever, a commitment letter is signed. And basically the financial institution go through a qualification process in which they make a determination as to whether or not they should take a risk with you to lend you XYZ amount of money in order to buy a house, buy a condo, or buy apartments. So once both of you agree and you sign that commitment letter, you have established a payment that they give you. So say they give you a payment of $1,000. You now have to pay that $1,000 on a particular day, be it on the 30th of the month. And once you pay that, everything is okay. When you miss one day, you then become delinquent for that one day, and then you will start to attract late fees and finance checks. Now the problem is people lose jobs, people have medical conditions that affect them from working, and then there are circumstances that refrain people, hit people from being able to make their payments. So that causes delinquency. But certainly, Lana, when one looks at a portfolio, and that portfolio has a 42% delinquency rate, there's some work that they've done with regards to managing that to a lower percentage.
Right, and then another thing is, I believe the length of time, so I'm going to go through this because I marked it, but I don't remember where I marked it, because the time lapse in which the delinquencies are it made me question it, and I think that only 50 homes were actually foreclosed on out of the amount. And so I'm like, okay, so we have two problems. One, the fact that 42%, which is almost half of the mortgaged homes or mortgages alone, so I'm being redundant, but almost half of the persons that owe for a mortgage loan owe the bank, and they are unable to pay. And then on top of that, over the years, only 50 homes were, and I think they said it only represent 1%. Let me not quote it wrong. I think they said that it only represented, I know it was less than 5%. So even if it's 10%, that's still, that means if it's 10%, that means it's 500. So, and if it's less than 10% and it's only 5%, then that means it's double that. And then if it's only 1%, then you're talking about almost 1,500 people being in delinquency.
Well, Lana, it's certainly in this instance and all others, when you're dealing with numbers, the devil is in the details. When one looks at the management of delinquencies go into buckets. People always grade them into buckets. So there are your 30-day people, there are your 60-day people, there are your 90-day people, 180-day people, and then it goes to write-off in 210. You have to manage each bucket, and you really want to get people to the point where they are current. But once it goes to that 210 day and it goes to that write-off, then it qualifies for foreclosure. That is the thing that you really don't want.
So how long can you stay in foreclosure? Can you stay in delinquency for 10 years?
You should not be able to stay in delinquency for 10 years, and that is why banks, when they realize that someone is in foreclosure and that there's no potential for that particular person to get back current, or there's no way of them to be regularized, the bank then decide to go through the foreclosure process to reclaim the property and really resell it in order to to have a return on their mortgage. For example, if somebody has a mortgage that is, say, a $250,000 home, right? That home may be appraised for $250,000, maybe, or maybe a little bit more. The bank then forecloses on that particular property. They now have the ability to sell, so they will put that house on the market.
Right.
So if somebody now comes up and want to give the bank $250,000, that is a great deal. Okay. That means the bank would have recovered all of the money for that particular mortgage.
Right.
But if somebody now, or the best bid for that particular mortgage is $150,000, then the bank could accept that at the $50,000 loss, but the $150,000 then becomes recovery, which is good for them. It's better than nothing. So the recovery process is a part of foreclosure. That is when they give themselves the opportunity to recover their mortgages, recover on their mortgage.
So I'm going to quote this. They say 45% of its total loan portfolio, the larger portion is made up of government application. The source notes that overall, Bahamas Mortgage Corporation is doing well in terms of its financial position, but the corporation does have its challenges, including 38% of its total loan portfolio being non-performing. It was revealed by this insider that the Bahamas Mortgage Corporation has repossessed fewer than 50 properties over the last 5 years, representing less than 1% of its loan portfolio. So, is the loan portfolio different from any other? I mean, that's the only way they get money, right?
That's really the only way they get money. So, when you're looking at an entity like the Bahamas Mortgage Corporation, it tells you that this is a governmental entity where people are doing mortgage. They're doing mortgages to assist probably constituents or otherwise. They may be less inclined to foreclose on them and to give them an opportunity to repay. Now, just because somebody reaches foreclosure or somebody becomes 210 days delinquent does not necessarily mean that you should go to foreclosure. what some banks do is they give you an opportunity to regularize your mortgage.
Makes sense.
They tell you, come into us. You got a new job. I know you had lost your job to us.
Right.
Since you got this new job, make 6 consecutive payments. We will rewrite your loan and start you over again.
Right.
So it's things like that what can be done to assist people in regularizing their mortgages.
Right.
Now, with them saying that the portfolio's 38% continues to be non-performing, then perhaps they are still exploring new opportunities for that person to regularize themselves.
And then another thing that they can do is if you have to rerun the loan of how you can get this person on a budget, whereas they can consolidate all of their loans, because they might have a car loan, they might have the house mortgage. You know, healthcare is very expensive here, because if you have to have health or those insurances. So if you have someone that is making on average about $27,000 to $37,000 a year, and if it is 2 people, then both in the household is bringing closer to $70,000, but their mortgage is anywhere from $850 to $1,500. That's still a strain on them with the children, and most parents here send their children to private school. You have the insurance, you have the lights, you have all of the other things. So maybe we, our lenders, especially Bahamian-owned banks like the Mortgage Corporation, should look at avenues whereas we can help people. If it is the case, we can help these people not only save their homes, but work towards budgeting themselves and saving.
Well, what we're finding, Lana, is that you cannot really blame the banks for adhering to the law. I mean, in terms of foreclosure, because that is a part of the legislation.
Okay.
So what the government has done recently is they came up with mortgage relief. And also mortgage relief really is to give people that do not have the ability to pay their mortgage assistance in getting their loans rewritten so that they can get lower payments and be able to afford their mortgages.
Okay.
Also, the government is embarking on legislation to assist mortgage holders.
Okay.
I'm hoping that that consideration be had to allow mortgage holders the ability to create an equitable interest in their property.
Okay.
Because when one looks at mortgage payments, if you have a 15-year mortgage, that for 7 years, or that for 7.5 years,
interest.
The majority of the money that is contributed to is interest.
Right.
And after that 7 years, it goes to principal.
Right.
So is it fair now for a bank, after 10 years, to sell that person's house after they would have paid all of that interest, and the principal just started to be a beneficial thing to them, which they only needed an additional 5 years. So what the government intends to do is to introduce legislation to allow people to have equity in their property.
Oh, wow.
What they did in the United States with regards to this, and I hope our legislation goes that far as well, is it allows you that after 7-10 years or whatever, you would have created enough equity in the house that you can actually get, say, $10,000 back to put in your pocket.
Wow.
Or you can
That's
get
right.
that $10,000 back to repair your roof, or to change your furniture,
Right.
or to make repairs
upgrades
to the building.
Right.
So having an equitable interest in your home while you're making your mortgage payments can even help you in terms of losing your job. If you lose your job, you can now use that equity,
Right.
which you have in that home, to help you to remain current in your mortgage. That is an excellent program. I really hope that the government introduces legislation that would help mortgage holders and other loans,
Right.
car loans and stuff like that
Right.
as well. So that we can have an equitable interest.
Right.
Also, Lana, the next thing too is the interest rates. The interest
Right.
rates in the Bahamas are extremely high.
It's ridiculous.
When you look at 9 and 8 and 9% on mortgages is astronomical. When you look at mortgage rates in the United States, they are 3 and 4%. And those guys, if they can create an equitable interest for Americans, then why can't us, with 7 and 8%, where the banks are charging these astronomical rates, do the same thing? So the government needs to have
they need to regulate that, because it is ridiculous. And I just learned that on top of the reason why the rates are as high as sometimes 12% is because they charge you an interest on top of your interest, and that interest is like the administrative fee or something.
Yeah.
They interest that.
They call it prime plus.
They call it the prime plus.
So your mortgage rate would be prime plus 2 or
plus
prime plus
another,
3.
and then
so whatever your agreement is, and say prime now. So the government comes up and you sign your mortgage in 2010, and it says, and the prime rate is 5%. If the prime rate now changes to 4, then it goes down,
right,
and you benefit. If the prime rate now changes to 6, then
it goes up, right, and you don't benefit.
So, but the prime, but your mortgage relationship normally is prime plus 2 or prime plus 3.
Well, here's another thing that I learned. So when you are closing on your home, and the banker tells you, "Oh, don't worry about this. We'll take care of the administrative fee and all these other fees."
That's a fee.
If you have that money, people, take that money and spend it. That's where you won't spend 12% interest on that mortgage.
Exactly.
Don't listen to them. Please learn how to maximize your dollars. Learn how to make the dollars work for you and pay less. I learned another trick as well, that if you try to match what you're paying every month in your mortgage, and at the end of the year, if you take a lump sum, don't pay it through the year, you take that lump sum that you're having in that little saving. And I heard for the first 4 years, if you put a lump sum down at the end of every year, you're going to basically pay off your house. If it's a 15-year mortgage, you're going to pay that off in half. If it's a 30-year mortgage, you're going to pay that in half. So I thought that was a pretty cool tip. Is that so?
You're absolutely correct. They have amortization schedules out there that you can actually test it on. If you have a mortgage, say, in taking Lana's example, if you have a mortgage of, say, $1,500, and you pay that mortgage every month, and you add $100 to that, and you apply that $100 to principal, that action can decrease your mortgage for years, up to 5 years if you do that, just by adding money to principal in addition to your payment. Now the key to that is you must tell the bank, pay it to principal, because the bank will then put that to interest
to their money,
and it just floats in the air. It goes nowhere.
Remember, they pay themselves first.
Absolutely. So you have to tell them, principal, I've already made my payment, so I need you to put
paying interest on money that you're holding in the bank anyway, so you're paying them double.
Indeed. When you get a mortgage of $100,000, sometimes you pay $300,000 back.
Okay. Double and we don't want to do that. So we wanna help create, of course, wealthier behaviors, and we want to make dollars smarter by educating ourselves on what works. And I have a question. You tell me what you think. When I saw this article, another thing crossed my mind. Was this responsible for someone to slap something like this in the papers and not give a clear, precise explanation of the pros and cons of how this would affect us?
That to me is a perfect example of irresponsible reporting, primarily because the headline really creates more questions than answers. Because when someone see a 42% delinquency rate, are you saying now that 42% of them are 30 days delinquent, what the real delinquency is. So to me, it's really misleading and it's irresponsible, because if you're talking about delinquency is to do with buckets.
Right.
They are different buckets, and
Right.
certainly every bucket is important.
Right.
So to me, is irresponsible.
Right. And that, and that's why it's so important that I'm very selective on the stories that I pick to talk. Okay, sorry about that. We're back. Yay. It was competing. Technical difficulties, but we're back. So don't worry. But so I was saying that I try to be as responsible as possible as to the information that I give you guys, because I want to make sure that we are being I want to make sure that I'm saying the right thing, and I'm bringing in the right people to answer the question. So that's why I thought it was really good for us to have you in, Keith, tonight, and to bring some of these tips, because persons don't know how to go about or what to look for, what have you. I was concerned about this headline, and I was very concerned because nobody even talked about, nobody said anything. I mean, we're so busy talking about who's with which party and who's switching and how much money is being spent and who's being victimized and not. Whereas we have things like this is going on and nobody is addressing it. And
the one thing I need, sorry, I just put this point in. The one thing that I have to bring to the general public is that if you are running into the difficulty with your mortgage, you ought to go back to that facility, go back to that financial institution and talk to them and let them know what is going on. All financial institutions will work with you. Once they are aware of that you have a problem, they will try to work with you and work it out. If they don't know, or if you don't communicate with them, then they go on to the process of foreclosure. Now, when the matter reaches foreclosure, there's nothing that can be done. I normally go, people come to me and they say, "Brian, the bank has sent this summons and this is to do with foreclosure," and they say, "What can you do?" And I'm like, it's really nothing that we can do at this point, because I mean, most commitment letters tell you that once you are 1 day delinquent, that the bank can foreclose on your home.
So there's nothing once it says once you get that letter and that letter states that you are now in foreclosure, there's nothing that can be done. The summons. So that's for the bailiff to come to your house to say you got to get out?
You now have to prove to the court that what they are saying in their summons is incorrect. Because what they're going to be telling the court is that Kieth Seymour did not pay his mortgage for the past 2 years.
Right.
He owes $100,000 to the bank, XYZ amount of interest. He refused to pay. I want him out of the house.
Right.
So I now, as the owner of the home, if I want to save the home, I have to prove that there's some wrong information in there.
Okay.
And sometimes there is some wrong information. There could be the bank did not apply, a year of my payments. They've been putting a year of my payments to a different account. Something like that.
Wow.
But other than that, if you just ain't been paying.
Right.
And the thing would have gone all the way to the bucket of 210 days to delinquent to write off. There's absolutely nothing we can do.
Well, and talking about that, I want you to know that banks do make mistakes.
They do.
I know somebody that
they do make mistakes.
I had to go and make a payment for this person. They sent me and said, I don't have time to go, but I need you to go. And the teller couldn't find the person's information. And I'm like, this person had a mortgage with you guys for almost 20 years. What are you talking about? Are you kidding me? And they're like, no, I think you're at the wrong bank. And I'm like, no, I'm not at the wrong bank. It was hilarious. So that goes to tell you that, then eventually, the young lady asks for help. and somebody came along and they were able to help that person with the information, in pulling up the correct information. But imagine this. You go to the bank every month, you make that payment, and then you walk in and they say, I can't find it. So then the first thing I'm going to say is, so that means I'm finished with my mortgage payment. Can I have my letter to say that it's mine?
You better find it. You better find it.
You to find it or what have you. So it is, it's not the bank that's responsible at the end of the day. It's us. We are responsible for our commitments that we make. And as Kieth says, I know we like to run when we owe and when we can't pay something. The first thing we want to do is hide, and that's because of fear. But as Kieth said, the banks will work with you.
But too now, you have to have responsibility as well as an account holder. If I am sending you to the bank to make a payment for me,
right,
it's my responsibility to give you the account number and the name.
Right.
Because bank secrecy rules have it that the bank are not really supposed. I think they probably know that they ain't supposed to give you that account number. They are not supposed to give out the account number of somebody else who is not on that particular account. They're not supposed to give that information out. So I believe that they were abiding by the laws of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas as a bank secrecy. They're not giving you that account number. The person that sends you there, it's their responsibility to provide you with the account number.
So
in order to make that deposit to that account.
Okay. Well, lesson learned, right?
Absolutely.
Lesson learned. So I want to let's take we're not going to break in terms of go anywhere, but I have to mention my sponsor tonight. And the Dead Late Night Show tonight has been brought to you by Ebenezer College Virtual Smart School. Now listen, Ebenezer Virtual Smart School is it's an extraordinary school. It is a virtual school, as I said, and they're actually going to be launching their teacher's aid training course on Saturday, February 4th, 2017. So you can go there or call them up and sign up. And here's what you're going to learn. You're going to learn how to assist children with special needs. So for those of you who are interested in learning how to assist children with disabilities or special needs, that's the place to go. You're going to learn how you're going to actually work along regular teachers, persons that are in the classroom in general education, and you're going to become a certified in first aid, and you're going to be certified in K through 12 instructional teacher's aid. So for those of you who have always wanted to get into education, this is your first step. Take advantage of it and call Ebenezer College. It's called Ebenezer College Virtual Smart School, and their number is 552-2773. 552-2773. And tonight what I'm going to do is on the Dead Late Night page, I am going to link their page so you can come back and you can go onto their Facebook page, you can go onto their website. If you go onto my website, the Dead Late Night Show, you're going to see their logo. You click on that logo and it takes you right to their page. Call them. Those of you that are interested in education and you're not ready to go to University of Bahamas as yet, you can go to Ebenezer College Virtual Smart School. So thank you so much for supporting us. But tonight we're live. This is Lana Epstein live with the Dead Late Night Show, and I'm so grateful and thankful for those of you that are viewing. You're popping in and out, and I love that. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, if you have any ideas, please type it in. We can see what you're saying. If you have an interest in a particular subject matter that you feel like we need more education on here in the Bahamas, you can email me at deadlatenight@gmail.com, and I welcome all comments. Tell us how we can improve. We will be back in studio by next week. We're working on some stuff. We're working on a new show, but I didn't want to leave you guys hanging. So we're working on some projects where we're going to be teaching more on policies and systems. We're going to talk more about sports and culture, health, social, education, and we're putting together a tremendous season. So that takes a little bit of work and a little bit of time, and we're grateful for ZSR 103.5 Sports and Talk Radio. They've been so patient with us, and we're so grateful for them, so I have to give them a shout out. But two things we're talking about tonight. We're talking about, there was an article that I talked about on the show a few weeks ago, the Bahamas Mortgage Corporation having reportedly from a source a 42% delinquency rate with their mortgages. And I thought that was one, I found it a little bit, I don't know, the information was a little bit irresponsible in my opinion, because it didn't give a full rounded story as the pros and cons and how it can affect us, or how it is affecting those persons that are currently in that delinquent status. It didn't say whether or not these were people that were 30 days delinquent, 100 days delinquent, 220 days delinquent, or 10 years delinquent. It didn't specify anything. So I thought it was important to bring in an expert, someone that understands the banking industry, that understands finance, and an attorney. So Mr. Kieth Seymour is here with us tonight, and he has shared tremendous information in terms of, you know, explaining that situation, explaining what could be the situation, because it's all speculative. No particular person, they just named it as a source, so we don't know where that information came from, and so this is only on the basis of assumption. And so if this is the case, and those of you that are just joining us, you can go back to the beginning of the video and you can learn a lot of great information that can assist you when it comes to how mortgages work. If you find yourself in a delinquent situation, tips on what you can do, how you can lessen your mortgage, and understanding how interest rate works here in the Bahamas. The second thing we're about to go into in our second half of the show is VAT. That is the biggest talk in this country for the last few days. I mean, you have, it's been the talk actually throughout this whole political season, and everybody wants to know where the clown season, and everybody wants to know, where is the VAT money? Where did the VAT money go? And so apparently, during the PLP convention last week, we had, that's the Minister of Finance, correct?
Minister of State.
For Finance. He basically, you know, during the rally, you know, he big up himself, and he made some comments. I thought the comment that he made was clear, because he did say facilitate. He never said, I am going to take $100 million and I'm going to put it into the Starbucks cup. He said, we facilitated $100 million for Starbucks, which is totally different. So, you know, it's how things are perceived. So it's like when you read a book. If you read a book and I read a book and Keith reads a book, we're all gonna have different. We're gonna come up with so many different analogies, and some of us are not gonna read, or we're gonna read half a sentence and we're gonna assume what the rest of the sentence is.
They can listen to what the other person say.
Exactly, and you know, I am so guilty of this. People talk to me, and I start assuming before they even finish their comment what they're gonna say, and they say, Lana, hey, wait a minute, cut. Listen to what I'm saying first to the end, and then comment. So I'm guilty of it. So I definitely know that people are texting me. Unfortunately, I can't answer those WhatsApps because we are live, so they would have to go onto the Dead Late Night Show and send those messages. But regardless of the fact, we're gonna talk about the elephant, not only in the room, but in the country. First of all, what is VAT? What does VAT mean for the Bahamas?
VAT, Lana, is the tax mechanism that was introduced by the government of the Bahamas, value-added tax, which is which is puts us in a tax regime that is compatible to some of the other countries out there. It allows us to. It is supposed to allow us to eliminate some of the other tariffs like custom duties and things like that. And it's supposed to bring in an astronomical amount of money.
Right.
Because it really eliminates. It should eliminate a lot of custom duties and things like that. Things should be cheaper.
Right.
With the implementation of value-added tax. What value-added tax does, when we go into the store and we purchase a loaf of bread, that bread is supposed to be cheaper than it normally is. And by the time it's the 7.5% is added on to it, we should have saved some money.
Right.
The bread, for example, if the bread's cost prior to VAT was $1.50, right? And with VAT is supposed to decrease the cost of the bread. So the bread's price should have gone down
like $1.10,
$1.25 or $1.10. And then by the time as you add VAT, we should have saved some money. VAT was not supposed to have added on to what the existing cost is. What some merchants were doing.
Right.
So the government would have recognized a lot of money from that.
Right.
Now, what was said by the minister was that the VAT was used to repair schools.
Right.
Right. The minister really is right. VAT money, when you look at the law with respect to value-added tax, VAT goes into the consolidated fund.
Okay.
And when it goes into the consolidated fund, it could be used for anything.
Right.
So just because the government borrowed money to fix roads, right? Or to fix schools, right? Because he said that we use some money from VAT to fix the schools, that does not mean that as an emergency basis they did not have to use that money because of time constraints to fix the school, and then come back and replace the money when the loan money come in back in the consolidated fund. So that is what he is saying.
Okay, so
let me
understand this before you go on, because I like to break it down for those people, because I understand what you're saying, but some people might still get a little lost. So let me understand this. So you and I, we own this is our little country right here in this space.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Hurricane comes by and it breaks the roof down.
Right.
Okay? Anybody that comes into this country, and the people that live in this little country right here, have to pay something called value-added tax, right?
Correct, yes.
That money is put into a holding cell.
The consolidated fund.
A holding cell, right?
Yes.
I'm just breaking it down, holding cell.
Very well.
Okay, so instead of you being the government, say, okay, we're going to go in and we're going to take out of the holding cell $100 to fix this roof. Instead, we go and we get a loan for it to buy time to use that money. Is that what you're saying? So you get a loan, the loan pays for it. The loan is for 5 years, so instead of paying the $100 all at once, you pay $5 here, $5 there, or through a period of 3 years.
That's
you
correct.
pay $5 every year for 3 years, or whatever it is.
That's correct.
Okay?
That's correct.
Y'all get that?
That's correct.
That making sense to y'all out there?
See, you cannot say the government, in order for the government to pay money from the consolidated fund, the money has to be approved somehow. It either has to be approved by cabinet, or it has to be approved by the individual ministry.
Right.
Now, if it is approved, these guys have to go through some serious stringent approval processes in order to get that money out of there. So once they get the approval and it is paid, then they know that they were supposed to get a loan from, say, the IDB to do some things. And once the loan comes in, the money is automatically returned back to the consolidated fund. That is all the minister is saying. The minister says, yeah, we did get loans, but we had to use the funds because of emergency or whatever.
Right.
And once the loan comes through, it's replaced.
Right.
And certainly the law provides it. See,
Okay.
you can't, the silly season is on. You cannot go around the place saying that this is wrong and people stealing and
Or
you
lying.
need to understand the law.
Right.
The law says VAT money goes in the consolidated fund, right?
Right.
Boom.
Which is a holding
Which is a
cell.
holding cell, right? And two, the law provides from the Treasury Act that the government has the ability to go to the consolidated fund and use the funds once it is properly approved.
Right. It's almost
So
like you're using it as collateral.
This is
It's almost like a
example.
collateral. You're using that money as collateral. Like the same thing with the Bahamas Air thing. You're using it as a collateral so that when the loan comes, let's say when the loan matures. Now, let me
When it's issued, when the money comes, when the money
then
comes.
we don't need. We just was holding it just in case. But remember too, that money is gone. So once the money is gone, then we have to we got to keep trying
Replenish
to bring
it.
in.
You have to replenish it.
Now, Keith, something else came to mind. Do businesses, I know that businesses have different times that they have to pay their funds. So is the amount of money literally in that holding cell, or is it a estimated amount that is expected based on, okay, so
That's
this
cash.
is what has
When
already
you
been
have a business,
collected.
when you have a business, you have a law firm, you have a store, you have everybody, and the law tells you that you have to pay your VAT on a monthly basis. So once the company tabulates their sales,
Right.
and they qualify for the payment of VAT,
Right.
they say they make $100 in sales,
Right.
VAT is 7.5%. They now have $107.50.
Right.
That $7.50 then is transferred to the government
Now,
on a monthly basis.
Do you have I have a problem with this 7.5. Why don't they just either make it, now don't go make it an 8. I'm not complaining, people.
The law
Lawmakers,
says that.
can
The
you
law
change
says
it from 7.5 to 7%? I mean, come on. I mean,
I think it'll be going in the next direction.
no. We don't want you to go in the next direction. We want you to go lower. But
Remember, they were asking for 15%.
they gotta be
And it
crazy.
was cut in half to 5%.
But you know,
I think they always wanted 7.5,
But
and they
you-
were just showing that 15 just to make us feel good.
But you know, Keith, we've had it good for a very long time with being, I think we're the last Caribbean country to actually be taxed in any way. I mean, we are taxed besides that.
No,
So
no.
for those people who
We are taxed heavily.
we are taxed,
We were always taxed heavily.
really?
Customs and Red
And
Sea.
property tax that nobody pays?
The problem that no, but they're gonna be doing things to get people to pay it. But we have these heavy tax things that we have to pay, and the people who pay it are the middle class people and ourselves, and some people don't qualify to pay. Like real
Right.
property tax, I think if your house is under 500,000, you don't have to pay it. But the
Right.
people with over that value,
They should be paying.
have to pay it. So.
I'm only kidding, people. No, I'm not kidding.
So we are heavily taxed. What VAT does is it goes from what they call a tax just for a particular group of people.
Okay.
But it's a tax for everybody.
Everybody.
It's not a tax for only the rich. It ain't only a tax for the poor. It's a tax. You go and buy a soda, you have to pay a VAT.
VAT.
Whether the rich man in life with Keith buys a soda for $1,
Or
he
you
has
do.
to pay 75 cents. Or whether the poor man in Baytown, he buys a soda, he has to pay 7.5. So everybody, it's a flat tax for everybody to contribute to.
And I think that's one of the problems that most people have, because I have a problem with that, because I think, in my
The rich man
opinion,
soda should cost more?
No, I'm not saying that. What my thing is, what my thing is this one. You can tax people, but how do you tax poor people? They're already poor. They already have nothing. You're telling somebody, and you're taxing on every little thing. You're taxing on every little thing. I think that they didn't look at the different demographics. I don't think they looked at the different items, and they just say, hey, we're just going to tax on everything. I think this person is saying that they don't need any tax if the public don't know where it's going. And I agree with that.
The public knows where it's going. It's going to the consolidated fund.
No, what I think there, I think, and I get that. It's going into the consolidated fund.
Yes.
But I think what people want to know is, I don't know if they want to know. What people want to know is, we want to know before you make the decision. For example, to spend money, to spend this baht on something called Carnival, we want to make sure that we are making the decision, or you're telling us before you make this decision that these are the places or these are the industries we want to use this money for. What do you think? Because education is more important than Carnival. Healthcare is more important than Carnival. Resources that helps our nation is more important than something like Carnival. It's more important than giving a hotelier $2.5 million to repair a hotel that they own, and they are considered to be the largest shipping container agency in the world. Then you should not build a hotel if you can't maintain it. It's not our responsibility to take $2.5 million of our VAT money and give it to you when we need schools built and schools fixed, and when we need better PMH. I mean, you have people getting sent home because there's no beds. So I think the public is more. I think people are annoyed with that. I think there is good intention, mind you. I think there is very good intention, because in order for an economy to sustain itself and to grow, we have to make some kind of adjustment. But the adjustment has to be thought through, and it has to be implemented in a responsible manner that it does not break the back of the poor and make them poorer.
See the implementation of VAT really added some incremental tax funds being raised by the government in terms of like legal services, like medical services, like educational services, educational services. So these are things in addition to in addition to food supplies and things like that. It's a value added thing. So really it increased the scope of tax collection. You know, so all of it is used by the government in order to do things, to pay. You know, they said initially that VAT was going to be used to pay down
on debts and stuff like that.
So I'm sure they're doing that in addition to doing other things, because it isn't only coming from one place. It's coming from a number of places.
Okay, well, we have a question, Keith. Someone says, do you think that the taxpayers had to listen to a political convention to access a report on where our VAT money gone? This is gross disrespect to the Bahamian people.
No, like I said, you know, people want to hear that. When you hear the word consolidated fund, the consolidated fund has a lot of things going into it. Sometimes I believe that the money that is confiscated from drug traffickers go into the consolidated fund. Things that some of the things that the government collect, like rents and different things that go into the consolidated fund.
But
so the money comes from all over the place.
No, but that's not what they're saying.
No, I understand, but they're saying
why wait to say? And I think the thing is, why wait to say?
My point, Lana, is that you cannot say that the VAT money went to a particular thing when the VAT money is inclusive of other things that go into the consolidated fund.
So why not explain that to the people?
because when you hear consolidated fund, you ought to know that a consolidated fund is just that.
Really?
It is not the VAT fund.
But
It's not the VAT account.
Right.
So where they can say, well, all this money was collected from VAT, all this money was collected from rent, all this money was collected from the dog, from whatever. You know, it isn't like that. It goes into the consolidated fund. So what the government is saying is that we have the ability by law that when money goes into the consolidated fund, that we are now able to use that money once it is approved by cabinet for whatever deemed necessary.
So let me ask you this, but do you feel that it was a disrespect for the public to have to wait for a convention to be told that's where the VAT money went? I'm just curious.
No, I don't know if it was the government's intention to report that, you know, where when the VAT money comes in, specifically
on that night. I mean, are you kind of using their political platform to do that?
No,
which it should be neutral, right?
Yeah, it should be neutral.
It should have been neutral. So I think people are having the issue of the mere fact that the location in which we're being told in order to create feel as if people would have been more acceptant. We're back. Sorry, we had a little bit of difficulty, but we continued on with the conversation, and I agree with this texter, with this messenger. I feel as if you don't look brownie points when it comes to saying what your responsibility is and how you are producing or how you're performing your job. That explanation should have worked. You are given platform. That platform is in house. So when you're in the house and let me say to you over and over and over again, where is the VAT money? You don't wait till it's convention to say where the VAT money is for brownie points. You don't make it a show. You make it your responsibility to share with the public and educate the public of how the VAT works. The consolidated fund. What does that fund consist of? You actually educated us tonight in telling us the consolidated fund is not only about the VAT. You said the consolidated fund has the VAT money. It has all of the drug laundering money, all the drug money that they seize, or the laundering money that they seize, or the rental. So the government is taking all of the monies and they're putting it in a pool. So explain that to the people. And I think once that is explained to the people at the right platform, then people will be more positive and more understanding in what it is that you are portraying. Because like I said, I think there is good intention. However, the way that the information is being relayed, the public is saying we're not comfortable with that. And the public have a right to say that, Keith.
I think so.
The public have a right to say we're not comfortable on your explanation. We're not comfortable with the platform that you're using. And we want to know, help us understand what you're doing.
The problem is, and I can appreciate it, the problem is that you have a political convention that was going on, and you have the Minister of State for Finance that was making his presentation with respect to VAT. He is not the Minister of Finance; he's just the Minister of State.
Right.
So the Minister of Finance is really the
responsible person.
The responsible person. So when that is
sound like somebody overtalked.
No, the Prime Minister is the Minister of Finance. So he's going to delegate.
So he should have said.
He's going to delegate that.
Okay.
So really, it was really set up on a political platform,
right?
And it really create some criticism when you're looking at people who support the other side.
Right.
They're gonna question.
They're gonna
that.
mash it up.
They're gonna mash it up. So it was expected. and certainly Minister Alcides did come back and try to explain the concept of the consolidated fund, as well as the distribution of funds from the consolidated fund. So he knew that he had a responsibility to do that. Now, the forum, as you indicated, did create a lot of questions from people, who indicated that I want to hear more. I want to hear, so it really is his responsibility to provide, since he has opened the can of worms, to provide these people with comfort.
Right, and educate, like I said. See, I'm big on educating, and I'm big on helping people understand. And even with, we talked about that past story, and we talk about the irresponsibility of persons within the media sector on how they outline things. And I think what happened too is over the last 6 to 9 months, there's been if you see that you're getting jabbed every day or every week in media, and you still, because you want those brownie points, still make an irresponsible decision to give people information on a platform that is not neutral, then that makes me question your capabilities of being neutral when it comes to dealing with public policies and how you're going to make decisions to help all of us as a nation, not as a party, not as an FNM or PLP or DNA or whatever it is that you are. So it's important for politicians to understand that when they are in office, to remain neutral. Jason is saying, so now it's another question that is at hand. How much money does the Bahamian have in the consolidated purse? I agree. Yes. Is it really the amount that you're saying it is?
No, and I think the government and the central bank,
they'll release that information
with regards to, and I hope
before or after the election.
Hopefully
before or after the election.
Before and after. But they ought to do that, and they ought to show a variance of where the consolidated fund was last year prior to VAT and where it is now with VAT. Because what we want to determine is what are the benefits of VAT. Because the consolidated fund ought to have consumed a lot more funds than it did in the past. It should have done a lot better. So we should have a lot more money to do things with than we did before.
So that's a good question, and I'm going to find that out. I am actually going to see how I can find out what was in that consolidated fund before VAT and what's there now, so that we can compare that. Because that is a very good question, Jason, and thank you for that. Because that means that there could be some money missing somewhere. And Maria, I think you had asked a question. I'm sorry. Let me see if I can go back. I think she was saying that she don't see the schools and public buildings she doesn't see the schools and public buildings are still run down. Only some of the public enjoy carnival. Well, Maria, I don't even like carnival, so I'm against that. So that's first of all. But yes, I do see buildings that are in need. I mean, like and this is why we don't know. It seems like everything is so secretive for us. Like, we don't know what's going on until a politician that wants brownie points say, the public is mad at me, so let me give them a little bit of juice to make them feel as if we're doing something. And that's why people question the sincerity in what's being done.
Let me just say this. The cabinet meets every Tuesday. And when the cabinet meet, they have an agenda of things what they do. Everything from approving investments to what bills to pay, to whether they should build schools, whether they should issue citizenships to people. All these things are done in the cabinet.
In the cabinet.
So
okay.
when we elect a government and we rely on them to do the right thing,
right?
To do the right and the things that need to be paid. If they come up and they say, well, it's up to us to improve something on a school,
right.
or up to us to build a new building for a government agency.
Right.
All that stuff is dealt with at cabinet, and certainly if it doesn't come out of the fund, then the government usually embarks on getting loans from the IDB or wherever,
right, and that's all well. And Jason said he thinks it's the family island. Yeah, I know Grand Bahama. They're building a new. Well, I don't think they started yet, but they put a bid in to build a new school in Grand Bahama. That's actually an 8-mile walk between West End and Pinedale somewhere. So I think it is majority family island, and I saw another point that we're going to point out. But here's the deal. At the University of the Bahamas, there is a building that faculty uses and students use that's full of mold. It's been that way, not for 1 year, not for 2 years, for years. This is where you have, at a tertiary level, your educators, your top-notch educators, having to endure. You have your students that are trying to get a higher education. They're going to be sick by the time they get their degrees, and you're going to lose out on your tertiary level educators. Hello, these are things that it should have been a list of things that should have been put forward and say, okay, we need to do this. We're either going to treat this building or demolish the building or do something. That should have taken precedence. Jason, we have with us tonight Mr. Kieth Seymour. He's an attorney and he has an extensive background in banking, in the banking industry. We're talking about decades. So I decided to bring him in tonight because we are talking about VAT. Earlier we talked about the Mortgage Corporation in an article that was in the papers a few weeks back with a 42 delinquency rate of within the Mortgage Corporation. And so he came in and he, because of his extensive background in finance, I felt that he was the right person to bring in. But this other person says they're very relieved that a large portion of the VAT is being targeted towards NHI because Bahamians really need national health insurance. And I agree with that. People were making noise about that, but how could you make noise about health insurance? I don't get it.
National health insurance is something that is a must for the Bahamas. A lot of the medical practitioners, however, are concerned with regards to how it is going to be paid for. Now, I know that the tax person had indicated that a lot of the part is going towards NHI, but NHI is contributory, and it will be somewhat of a tax as well.
On top of the contribution?
You look real sharp.
Thank you.
Hi, how are you?
Thank
Lana
you.
Epstein. We're actually live if you want to say hi to everybody
No,
from the Dead Late Night Show. Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and NHI is going to be contributory, even though that some of it will be, at the initial stage, will be coming from VAT. But what needs to be worked out really is not the primary care that people are getting. The catastrophic care is what people really need. The people who have cancer, the people who have diabetes, and those are the people who cannot afford their treatments.
Right.
Those are the people that are needed. The national health insurance really doesn't address a lot of that, and that is really what the concern is with regards from the medical practitioners.
Now, you said something about being taxed on that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we would be the only place in the world that are taxing people on health on health care because
No, they do it in the U.S.
no, they don't. You're not taxed. In fact, when you apply for your health insurance, okay, now with the Obamacare, that's when you do your tax returns. That's a part of your tax return. So if you're paying a certain amount, then you So you're not you don't pay taxes on health insurance in the U.S. That's not the case.
You will be taxed for NHI.
Right. Somebody's saying, but it's not contributory now.
No, it isn't,
Okay.
Beulah. It's not contributory now because it's not implemented now.
Okay.
But when it is implemented in April, then they will work out exactly what the contribution will be.
Now, other countries pay VAT. Countries like
But we will
Jamaica
start.
and all that stuff. So, but I know one thing is for sure. Like the country of Turks and Caicos, their
We'll
medical,
start somewhere.
right?
We agree.
Yeah, we agree with that. We must
We
start
agree.
somewhere.
We agree.
But the thing is, in Turks and Caicos, your medical treatment is covered. You're covered. If you have a catastrophic type situation, the government actually pays for you to. You have a choice. You can either go to Jamaica, come to the Bahamas. Yes, we are taking patients. Bahamas in our already heavily weighted, yes, heavily weighted medical situation at PMH. We are taking patients from other countries, depending on the level, or you go to the U.S. So maybe, and I don't know if it was done or not done, I understand that some medical doctors in the industry, that's one of their concerns, but I mean, how do we know? Let me try to pull it up, because how do we know that's not going to be covered in terms of for that level? Because I thought I read somewhere that you will be able to get treatment if there is some kind of
Well, as I indicated earlier, there is some deficiencies with respect to the program written in its current form,
right,
that need to be addressed urgently.
right,
Because people are more. I am not concerned
right,
that that I need to go to the doctor to do a $90 checkup. I am concerned whether if I have cancer,
Right.
that I can get chemotherapy.
right,
That if I have diabetes, that I can go and get on the dialysis machine.
Right.
Those are the things that create an exceptional amount
Right.
of expenses that NHI need to address.
Okay.
That is what we're looking at.
Okay.
Primary care is very inexpensive,
Right.
and anybody can basically get it. That's what they want to deal with now.
So you're
But
saying that the initial cost is not for primary care, it'll be for something else?
no, the initial cost is for primary
Okay,
care.
'cause-
We need it to be for
For the-
catastrophic care.
so-
We need catastrophic care addressed
Okay.
for NHI.
So this person is saying again that they understand, and I guess they're getting this information maybe from somebody in the industry. I understand that when it is implemented, we will not contribute initially. We will sometime in the future for primary care, but not now. So I'm guessing that they're trying to test it out to see, to see how it works. But one of the things that concerned me was, I think it was at the beginning of the year, the president of the Medical Association, his concern was the $100 million was not enough money even to contribute to the National Health Insurance Plan.
Yes.
He felt that we needed to put more money in. And see, and this is where persons that are in the political arena have to put all their differences aside and really put people first. Because I know the big question is, well, you're taking all the money and you're putting it in healthcare. That's important. If you don't have a healthy society, then who's going to be here?
Well, healthcare is very important, and I think the Prime Minister was very wise in trying to bring NHI on.
Yes.
It is something that really could not have been done through national insurance insurance.
Right.
It had to be different, and it has to be worked out with all industry professionals.
Right.
Now, I know that I have seen in the paper where the president of the Medical Association,
Yes.
Dr. Sai Pierre, was very concerned with certain aspects of it,
Right.
including catastrophic care,
Right.
that needs to be addressed.
Right.
Primary care, it's very inexpensive, and it really is. It isn't something that people can't work with.
Right.
But it's more of a concern where from people who have really debilitating illnesses and things, but they really can't afford.
Right.
The primary care is things that basically people can afford.
Well, the person is saying, how will you know if you have cancer if you don't have access to good primary care? And I think you guys are saying the same thing.
Yeah,
I think you guys are saying things, so that's
all
pretty
these
good.
things are done when you are going to the doctor and you find out that you have cancer, you have a debilitating illness, then it is dealt with at that particular stage.
Right.
But I'm saying that they have to include in the NHI the catastrophic care, and that is what is not dealt with.
So this person is saying, because they know that, and I think you and Keith are saying the same thing. He's saying primary care is important, and he does know that it is very expensive, and that's why he was saying that it's a good thing for NHI because it will help a lot of people in terms of knowing where they're at health-wise.
Right.
He's saying that the issue is once if you have cancer or something, if you do find out you have cancer, how is it that you're going to be taken care of? Are you going to be covered through NHI for those cancer treatments? Are you going to be covered through NHI for your dialysis treatments or hypertension and all? Yes. Well, at a hypertension at a gestational level, and all these things. So I think his concern is not the primary care. His concern is the catastrophic care.
Precisely.
And what I like about NHI is this: it's going to promote healthier lifestyles in the Bahamas. So it's going to encourage persons to go and get those physicals and go and see where you're at, so that you can get better health care. Jason is saying 1 month ago no one was really sure how NHI will work, and now how in 2 months they are implementing something with no direction. What is this plan now? Now, I want you to know that I will be requesting a representative from NHI to come onto the show so that we can be educated, because I think I asked the same question. I told somebody, I said the public does not have a clear understanding, and I mentioned it in December. I've been giving little snippets of it in December and also throughout the beginning of the year on information that I have found online in regards to NHI. The problem is we can read all the information, but we still need the persons that are behind creating the policy, behind creating the system, to educate us as a nation and explain to us how we're going to get this stuff. So I think the person is saying that you're saying that primary care is not expensive. He said primary care is not expensive. Many people do not get primary care because they do not have the money. It is expensive. Are you agreeing that it is expensive now or not expensive?
I don't agree that it is expensive. I'm not.
How much is an average? How much is an average physical? Like if I have no insurance, which means that I won't have a copay, and I know insurance is expensive. People are paying anywhere from $800 to $1,000 and now.
$100?
No. I mean for the prime, it's $100 if you have insurance on.
Yeah.
Right, but I think this person is saying if you don't have insurance, how much is a physical?
Physical is only $100.
That's it?
Yeah. $150 a physical. What I'm saying, Beulah, is not that the primary care is not expensive. I am not downplaying primary care at all. What I'm saying is that the plan needs to include catastrophic care. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
It needs to include. It does not address that at the moment.
I think healthcare is expensive here, in my opinion. But healthcare is expensive everywhere. I can tell you that the difference is, most people will go to the ER and the reason why they go to the ER is because they can't afford to go to the walk-in clinic and pay, $200-300 for something that they don't have the money, or $500, whatever it is. So if I have a headache and I've been having a headache for 2 days, or if I have a side pain or something, if I go into the walk-in clinic, I'm going to have to pay a lot of money. If the walk-in clinic doctor says you need to go to your primary care physician to have a physical done, and you don't have a primary care doctor, then how do you have that physical done? The clinics, I don't know if they do it or not, but the clinics might not give you the full physical that you need in terms of blood work. So every blood, let's say they say, well, you need 6 blood tests. And let's say PMH charges you, or the public health authority charges you $60 or $100. I actually know somebody that had to get a mammogram that have no health insurance. She went to the public clinic. The public clinic gave her a prescription, and they told her she had to pay $150 for that mammogram. Okay, that is a preventative examination. Why are women having to pay for a preventative examination? 1. 2, she was then told that check back in 4 to 6 weeks. So get this, I have to fine $150 for a preventative testing, okay, in a country that only has 350,000 people. Then I have to wait 4 to 6 weeks to be told that I might have a lump or not have a lump, or might have cancer or not have cancer. That is insensitive. That is very insensitive. So I think the concern is, I don't know if you can get a physical at the public clinic. I am going to find out what is the cost of a physical at a doctor's office. Obviously, this person probably sought to have a physical, and that person might not have had insurance, and that's the difference, having insurance and not having insurance. And so the good thing about NHI is you can have all of these things done, preventative care done for free, like your diabetes tests, your mammograms. It says for pregnant women, all of the necessary testing. I think Jason is saying it's sad that the Bahamas answer for healthcare is NHI. Jason, why do you feel that way? Why do you agree with NHI or not agree with NHI? And if we don't have a national health insurance plan, what would you suggest? Especially for those persons that cannot afford an $800 health insurance. Okay, this person is saying you could do a physical at the clinic. Oh, okay, so that makes it free, or do you, I don't know. I think you pay $10 when you go to the health clinic or something.
Well, what I'm hearing is that once national health insurance comes on the scene,
right?
It will be able to assist Bahamians in their primary care, and also we are able now to hopefully grow that to catastrophic care.
So what it does is it covers you care for pregnant women, and so that's your testing, all your gestational checkups, the 3 ultrasounds, medicines, calculation of pregnancy, assessment of fetal growth, delivery coverage at public hospital free of charge, management of respiratory illness, heart disease, STDs or STIs, iron deficiency, thyroid disorders, skin conditions, specialists. Sorry about that. We're back. So I was in the care for children. It's going to provide vaccinations according to the national schedule, blood tests, vision and hearing tests, x-rays coordinated by a primary care provider. For care for older adults, you're going to have vision and hearing tests, annual EKG, nutrition counseling, assessment of everyday activities. So they want to make sure that the elderly are being bathed properly, dressing, food, mobility, detection of even some forms of addictions, mammogram and breast ultrasound. Finally, there we go. It's going to be free of charge. Prostate cancer screening, blood sugar monitoring. So this is pretty good. Medications, you'll be receiving medication on NHI formula prescribed. So I hope they're going to give really good medication. I don't know, I want to make sure that they're going to give medication that's going to work. Let's not give sugar, whatever. First line treatment for HIV, we do that already through the Department of Health and through the program that President Bill Clinton, that was one of the biggest contributions that they made, and I have verified that during the month of December when we were having the AIDS Awareness Month. I verified that with the AIDS unit, and I was told that all of it is free for those persons. They're going to also get vaccinations, certain therapeutic and diagnostic injections. You have your, like I said, your mammograms, your diagnostic and labs, prostate exam, x-ray coordinated by primary care provider, some blood tests, pap smears, EKG. So, and this is why, and even outpatient stuff you're going to be able to get. Doctor's visit and examinations, annual checkups, outpatient treatment for iron deficiency, injection vaccinations. It's a whole wealth of things that you're going to get, that they're going to provide. So that's why I asked the question to Jason when he said it's sad that the Bahamas answer for healthcare is national health insurance. If we're getting all this, and prior to receiving all this stuff, you weren't able to because you can't afford it, then why is it a bad thing?
And also, as the Prime Minister would have indicated when he introduced it, that there were actually people that died because they could not afford health care. So we want to try to eliminate as much people from dying as possible. So, I mean, the primary stage is okay. That's why I say we have to be able to deal with catastrophic as well. Now
here's my problem. My problem isn't NHI. My problem is the facilities. My problem is the mere fact that when you go to PMH, it is not, I don't feel like it's sanitized. I don't feel like the handling, the patient care handling, and the way that the supporting family or friends that are with that particular patient is treated in a customer service based manner, whereas there's some kind of empathy. I understand that you can't be sympathetic towards something that you don't know, but you can show empathy should you be in that same situation. When you have patients sitting in a room waiting to be cared for with drips and all kinds of other stuff, it is like I want to run. I don't want to touch anything. I don't want to be around here. So I'm hoping that you got to fix the facilities that you're going to be treating. If you're saying that you're going to provide all of these fabulous treatments for the Bahamian people, then don't you think that your facilities should match what it is that you're implementing within the National Health Insurance Plan?
What has been happening, Anna, is that there has been tremendous improvement at the healthcare facility in Princess Margaret Hospital in particular. Princess Margaret Hospital has been, they have been working in doing cooperatives with certain doctors, and if you go there now, you won't believe it. I mean, you go into to the private ward at PMH, you think that you are at Doctor's Hospital. There's a lot more facilities at PMH than there are at Doctor's Hospital. Matter of fact, there's some things that Doctor's Hospital send their patients down to PMH to have certain things done. So I think they're heading in the right direction. The only problem is, I think with National Health Insurance, doctors are concerned that there's a limitation with regards to certain fees for certain people.
So why don't they lower their fees? Why does see when doctors say that they are concerned about fees for certain people, you're the one that's setting the fees. If I go to a private doctor, okay, it's just like when you have your children. Okay, you have a choice if you're going to go private or if you're going to go public. Now, I haven't had a child in the last 18 years, so my baby's 18. But at the time of me having my children, I made a decision that I am going to go private during all of my prenatal care. My doctor advised me about maybe a month before going, before having my deliveries, he said, now, this is what I'm going to charge you if you decide to remain private. You can pay for private room, and I had my children in Grand Bahama. You can pay for a private room, but go public. And this is how you do it. So, because they know that if you're going to charge me $5,000 versus me going to public, getting it for free, and me spending $275 per night or whatever it is. I think it was like $2 something per night, Unfortunately, I was in the hospital longer because, of my deliveries. But it still saved me a lot of money. Why do we have to, it's almost like we're ducking and dodging, and we're taking the risk of going public, because in my second delivery, I experienced more complications that could have really harmed me. And because I had switched over public, even though my private doctor took over that delivery, there was a situation in the hospital that took place that, I'm in charge, no, I'm in charge, that could have really cost me not only my life, but my child's life. So doctors also have to be cognizant of the fact that it's important not to try to get, I'm not saying, I know you spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on your education, but come on, man. You can't say I'm concerned and then charge somebody, their mortgage payment to do so.
No, but I saw a text from Beulah where she had indicated that physicals are not $100. I think it all depends on the type of physical that you want. I'm sure that a physical for a man would be difficult than a physical for a woman that is going to do a mammogram.
Yeah,
that's going to
pap smear, you have blood work. It's stuff. Expensive.
It gets expensive for us ladies, and it's relative.
Right.
So we have to put all that into consideration as well.
Right. And thank you, Jason, for answering that question. He's saying he's not fully against NHI, but they should implement a national health prevention program. First of all drugs, pharmaceutical drugs, cannot heal the human body. Now, failure to educate the people on healthcare prevention in 7 years, 90% of Bahamians will be on some type of line of for some drug. I agree with that. I agree that we do not. I know that they had this whole, I think it was in the late 1990s and early 2000s, and very, very early. I think it was between 97 and up to and I don't know what happened in between because I wasn't here really, but I did some reports on, we had they did a big drive on hypertension preventative, and I know they did it in Grand Bahama because I was in Grand Bahama at the time, and I was at a news, working for a news publication then, and they did this huge drive on things like hypertension and preventative. They did town meetings. They went into the different settlements throughout Grand Bahama. They went to the clinics and they got people, to talk. They had a nutritionist there. They had the nurse there. They had a physician there, and it was like a big thing. They talked also about not only hypertension, but they also talked about prostate cancers and different cancers. And that's why I think a lot of Grand Bahamians were able to find out that they had cancer, and that the reason why they had it wasn't necessarily because of the foods, but because of the areas in which they lived, based on all of the it's a very industrial island on certain settlements. So if you live in certain areas, you have the oil refining company, you have Polymers, which is a plastic company, you have Syntex, you have Borco, you had a company that created birth controls. And so all of these fumigations were going into the air and affecting, and these people and these plants are in areas or settlements where persons are they're not as fortunate as others. So yes, Jason, I welcome that.
I could add something for what Jason said as well. I know that he says failure to educate, and education really is a big part of it as well. But really testing is also important as well, because even in the instance where you say in 7 years 90% of Bahamians will be on some type of drug, at least they will know what is wrong with them. And then if there is something wrong, they will be in a position to take something to assist them. If it is something wrong, it will not be 90%, but it will be whoever it is that have illnesses would be able to deal with them, to give them a chance of a long life.
Overly, Keith, and I like what the other person says. The old adage, prevention is better than care.
Yes,
and you want me to tell you something? The bottom line is persons are afraid to go to the doctor. Yes. They don't see. Go and find out.
They don't want to know.
You want to know so that you can live, because you don't want to wait. I did a health segment twice so far with and I love this group. It's called New Life. New Life. They're in the Independence Shopping Center, on East Street, and they talk about all of these preventative things, and they use natural resources in order for healthcare. The problem is not everybody can afford that type of treatment. But one of the things that Anna from New Life said was, by the time she sees people, it's almost as if hope and a prayer. I don't know if this is gonna work. We could try it. For some it did, for some it didn't, because it's so far gone, or the situations are so intense that you just don't know. So I think, and I even told them, I said, you know what, I want to do a health drive. When I say a health drive, I mean like every week I want to talk about something to push people for a healthier lifestyle, and it starts with going to the doctor. If you don't have the money, you can get a physical. We were told tonight you can get a physical from the clinics.
For free.
It's okay to go to the clinic. Who cares? Who cares if somebody see you at the clinic? Just go. Just go. So there's a question: does the NHI plan focus significant on prevention? Example: school health lunch program, giving free gymnasts membership to persons with weight challenge, etc.
Don't think so.
And this is a really good question. And this is why I have to have NHI on the show, because I have to ask this question many times, Jason, but the focus is not on education and prevention. I find that this troubling as well. We need advocate for education and prevention. Yes, I agree. 1,000%. You know, the thing is, and that's why I have to get them on, because people want to know. And people reject things because they don't know. And it's a great plan. Yes, with any plan, there's some kinks that has to be worked out. There's going to be some trial and error. And I think the thing is, healthcare, education, all these things are things that are a challenge for every country. We're no exception to the rule. We have major, look at our neighbors. The United States, they have a huge issue with healthcare, and they just implemented the Obamacare, and it is very hard. It is not only are you you are penalized through taxation if you don't have healthcare.
Right.
If you apply for Obamacare, they price you based on a simulated thing that you do online. They give you a price, and if you can't afford it, what? If I can't afford healthcare for $200 and something a month, you're going to penalize me at the beginning of the year for the last year for not having it. So we're not the only country that has these challenges. We are a smaller country, and I feel like we can work it better if, like I said, if we have persons within the political arena not politicize these implementation of programs that can help us, but educate us on the implementation of these programs. Educate us so we can know whether or not this policy works for us or not. And if it doesn't work, how do we fix it? Thirdly, we need to get recommendations from local doctors and local persons within the healthcare sector. Stop bringing people from somewhere else that have never lived in the Bahamas, that have never eaten the foods that we've eaten, that doesn't breathe the air that we breathe, and giving a suggestion based on a study that they're not even sure of. They're bringing studies back from places in which they have lived. It's okay to follow suit based on recommendation, but I think that when we go through the analysis of making final decisions for us as a nation, we need to use the experts within our nation that have lived it and know it, rather than outsourcing. Right. And we're paying we're paying millions of dollars to bring somebody because they have a different accent and they have a different shade on them in order to tell us, no, you're doing it wrong. And I think that that's a problem.
I agree.
I don't know if you agree.
I agree.
We're now coming towards the end of the show. The show has been brought to you, like I said, by Ebenezer College Virtual School. This is a great facility. Like I said, it's a virtual smart school. And this weekend, Saturday, February 4th, they're going to be starting their Teacher's Aid training course. If you are a lover of education and you don't know how to get involved in education and you want to start, this is a great training program where you can work. You can learn to assist children with special needs. You can work alongside regular teachers in general education. You can become certified in first aid, become a certified K through 12 instructional teacher aide. So please call them. If you have a relative that might be interested, a friend that might be interested, or you might be interested, call Ebenezer College. Their number is 552-2773. 552-2773. If you go to our website, which is thedeadlatenightshow.com, you can click on their logo, and once you click on their logo, it'll take you directly to their website, and you can find out some great information. So this weekend, Jason, I'm going to read what you say. You said the Bahamas spent $800 million in 2014 to 2015 on drug and so-called treatments, and they don't work for our people. So why spend more on drugs and not trying something different? And you know, the thing is, I think healthcare is regulated.
Yes.
And I'm not a healthcare profession. Keith is not. And these questions, like I said, is really good. And this is questions that we need to ask NHI. And I'm going to work towards doing that. You know, if we're going to have to use drugs, I think in countries, because medicine is so regulated, they don't normally... physicians frown upon alternative treatments. I love alternative treatment. I love to go the natural way.
Yes.
I believe for centuries, the Aztecs, the Incas, the Mayas, they all used bushes and different formulas to treat different things. So I definitely agree, Jason. However, there are regulations that different countries have to follow based on health, and we get money from international agencies that kind of, I think, tie our arms a little bit. So we're gonna get that information, and we're gonna make sure. We want you to keep tuning in, like our page, and keep tuning in. We should be back on air, but we're always live on Facebook, whether we're in studio or not. So I want to thank you all for tuning in, and this is the end of our show. So I want to thank you, Kieth, our special guest. He's an attorney at law and financial guru. He's my financial guru. So anytime I have a financial question or see something, I'm like, Kieth, what does this mean? Why are they saying this? And so I really, really appreciate you coming in and talking to us. I also want to thank you, my viewing audience, and thank you for contributing tonight. It's been awesome. So thank you for participating. Thank you for all the love. Thank you. Without you, there will be no Dead Late Night Show. So I truly appreciate it. And our show has been brought to you, like I said, by Ebenezer College Virtual Smart School. So don't forget to check them out. They are an awesome facility that can help you, for those of you that are interested in education. And don't forget to register to vote. All my fellow Bahamians, if you don't vote, you don't have a voice. And before I go, I want to leave you with this. Culture makes people, thank you, culture makes people understand each other better. And if they understand each other better in their soul, it is easier to overcome the economic and political barriers. But first, they have to understand their neighbor is indeed, in the end, just like them. We have the same problems, the very same problems, and the same questions. So for more information on this episode, please visit us at www.thedeadlatenightshow.com or email us. Tell us about the show. Tell us about what you want to hear about, your views. Just write us, and that's at deadlatenight@gmail.com with your ideas and concern. So tune in again tomorrow night for another educational and exciting show. Good night and Godspeed. We love you guys.